You know the blues are better. You know the blues are better. You the song you love. Blues that come in all different shades. Deep blue, dark blue, every shade of gray. Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down, but no matter what you do, you know the blues will come around because the blues are better.
You have a few CDs out, and they've gotten pretty good reviews. One reviewer called you a man on a mission. Would you consider yourself a man on a mission?
Maybe when you get into it by accident, I don't think that's really the case. I think you hear things and you kind of go on a journey and you learn from people. And when you go out and learn these things, you want to kind of tell your stories. I mean, blues music and roots music is really about telling stories and entertaining people. Maybe something that I'd like to do is there's a fellow named D. Ford Bailey, and he was a black harmonica player who played the Grand Ole Opry. He was born in, I think it was 1899, and he played the Grand Ole Opry from 1926 to 1941. And you wouldn't expect a black harmonica player to be part of this country music, but he's quite, to me, he's quite an important story, how he had to go about and live as, be part of this group.
How would you describe the music you play?
I call it roots and blues. I'm a roots and blues songwriter, and that I mean, the stuff I do is fairly simple, but it's fairly rooted in blues music and folk music, and what I try to do is get different combinations of people and with the songs that I'm kind of working with the words and try to match that. So it's kind of a roots and blues.
Well, now truth ain't always clear to see. Life and love, well, ooh-wee, what makes me so happy ain't hard to get to. Just the eggs of our easy hash browns and we'll go to Angel.
Is it safe to say that you were greatly influenced by the artists who came before you?
Pretty much every musician is. I mean, it doesn't, music gets passed fairly naturally, and it's what sounds good to you. And if you follow what sounds good to you, it kind of puts you on a path and a journey and makes you curious to go backwards and then forwards. I was pretty fortunate to learn from the guy who really made me want to play, a fellow named Phil Wiggins of a blues duo called Cephas and Wiggins. But when I saw Cephas and Wiggins in Washington D.C., I was living out there, and they did this. There's this little blues festival, and this in an outdoor stage park, and they're the first act. Since they're an acoustic act, they're usually the first ones out there, and they just knocked me out. They're so powerful and they're so accessible, and just kind of makes you want to play.
You categorize your music as Despite It All blues. Can you maybe explain what you mean by that?
Okay, blues are going to happen in your life. How do you go on despite it all? And so that makes it kind of applicable to today. I don't care, if you think about where blues comes from, and you think about slavery and that sort of stuff. This, again, this is what they did to tell stories and entertain each other after work. And it was an incredibly unfair work situation, but it was, it was work. Despite it all, blues, kind of realizes where it comes from, and okay, how do you put today's songs and things that can happen to you today? How do you kind of go on? In fact, I got a song. You want the song? I do have a little instrumental that's called Despite It All Blues, and I can probably play it for you right here.
You seem to specialize in train songs. What do train songs mean to you?
Train songs are they're really cool. And particularly, with the harmonica, people get it and they want to go and that kind of stuff. And a train song, to me, is about moving from one place to another place. And there's a phrase that some musicians will use. It's like move on down the line. How do you move on down the line? How do you take this history? Blues is real. Blues is things that happen. Okay, how do you go beyond blues? And a train song can kind of transport you through that. I have a song called D. Ford's Train, which is a tribute to D. Ford Bailey. And the first line of it is, I hear it off in the distance, plain word, simple truth. And so that's kind of what a train song is. D. Ford's train is coming and it's calling me home. So how do we get from here to here?
In this day and age, it's rare to hear blues and roots music on the radio. Is that because people aren't playing it? No.
People call it different things. I mean, I heard like a record like Jack Johnson. I hear a lot of blues in his stuff. His first record almost opens up with blues. And people just call it different things. And I was listening to the radio today. I was listening to the campus radio station, and they had Jet on, a band called Jet, who I think is they're really cool. And they had a line which is "Roll Over DJ," which is, it's respect to Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry wrote a song called "Roll Over Beethoven." So these guys are definitely rooted, and you can hear that. But people call it in different things.
What are the challenges of playing blues and roots music?
Being a harmonica player, I need a guitar player, and so a guitar harmonica players, historically they're hard. Give me a good guitar, give me a good rhythm guitar player, give me a good lead guitar player, and we can have a good time.
Oh, true as a string.
Where can we hear you play around East Lansing?
Get out a couple times, and we're here at Magdalena's Tea House, and this is a really cool place because you get a lot of different musicians, you get a lot of different age groups playing here, and fella Ross got a guitar, so we might pick a tune here for you. But I've played in pig roast and house concerts and festivals. And
where do you prefer to play?
I prefer to play with really good musicians and really in really good listening rooms. Every situation is different, and whenever you play for one person, that's cool. I mean, it could be playing for a kid, it could be playing for 100 people, it could be playing for I don't know how many I played. I probably played for 400 people once or something like that. But the big thing is just when you can make a connection.
Where can people hear your music?
I used a site called CD Baby, and they're excellent source for finding all sorts of different types of music. And what's cool about that is they'll sell the CDs. They have you can hear samples of it, 2-minute samples. It's real easy to use. It's a fair deal. They also they've also done really for a guy like me, I'm set up on iTunes through them, so you can hear me on iTunes, or you can buy things on iTunes, and you go to the CD Baby site, and you can find my new website, and there's some tunes there, and that kind of thing. Long way to Memphis. Yeah, it's a long way to Memphis.